Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite tips and tricks video. I think you guys will really enjoy today's video because basically I'm going to be talking about 7 things that once you do them the right way, or things that I was doing wrong and my friends were doing wrong, and once we corrected it we became such better players. These are simple things that you'll notice pretty much instant results when you correct them and when you start doing them better, and 7 simple tips that will make you a god in Fortnite pretty quickly. If you guys could drop a like on this video, that would be absolutely amazing. Let's go for 905 likes. That'd be awesome if you could hit that. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We're getting so close to 200,000 subscribers. I'm absolutely hyped about that. And before we get into today's video, I actually have a cool sponsor for today's video. So I got a brief sponsored message and then we'll get right into the tips and tricks, boys. Today's sponsor is War Robots. What War Robots is a tactical 6v6 multiplayer game for the mobile platform where strategy is rewarded. This game, you can select your own robot and the customization options are absolutely incredible. Basically fighting in a 6v6 multiplayer world, defining your own gameplay. Now, the graphics on this thing are pretty good for a mobile game, as well as over 90 million people have already installed and started playing this game, so it is already very popular and does have a base for that. There's always constant updates with robots, maps, game modes, and much more always coming out. As you guys can see the customization on this game, definitely go and check the game out down in the description. It's absolutely amazing, and if you are to do that now, you also get a bonus in-game through my link in the description. You'll get 1 Griffin robot, 2 pin weapons, 2 Talumba weapons, as well as 100 gold and 400,000 silver. So thank you so much for War Robots for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. And if you guys want to check out this game and you think you will enjoy it, the link will be down in the description. Go ahead and do so. Let's get into the video. Alright, let's get right into the tips and tricks in this video. Now, basically what these are different things that, you can change, or that I see people doing or maybe not doing, that when changed can really change your game dynamic completely. And they're simple things that you should have in your mind so that you can think about them while you're playing. Now, let's get right into it. The first one is, one thing that I used to do is I would judge players off of the skin that they have. If they have no skin, we would call them noobs. We would, think that the fight would be easier. What I've changed to do right now, and I think this is the better way to do it, don't judge players off of the skins. Judge players on how fast they build. Usually that's a good point, and you have to judge players sometimes because you want to know how hard this gunfight's going to be, how much materials you're going to be using, especially if there's a possibility of a third-party fight coming in. You really do have to kind of know the general skill level of the player that you're going up against, and that's how I think is the best way to do it. Don't judge players off the skins that they have as much, and judge more off how fast they build. So when you shoot at a person, if you see they instantly build like a freaking mansion, you're going to know, okay, that's a good player, and you're going to have to approach it very cautiously. If you shoot them, you get them down to 1 shot and they've built just 1 wall, they're probably not as good of a player, and you could sort of just rush them with height advantage and take them out. That's definitely a big tip, is you have to know the general skill level of your enemies and how to approach the fight, and I find the best way to do that is based off how fast that they build. Next thing right here is build first, shoot second, don't get lazy. So many times this was happening to me and I was dying dumb deaths against players that I thought I was better than, simply because I would see a guy and I just take the shot instead of just building a simple ramp and a wall to reinforce before I take the shot. That's probably what you should be doing. In certain situations you can shoot first if you find that you have to shoot to get the shot in. You might shoot a couple bullets, then build a wall, then shoot some more, but build first, shoot second, and more specifically, don't get lazy and try to just take one-on-one gunfights without building. Building is where you can really increase the skill gap in this game if you're a decent player, and I find that a lot of times I would get lazy, especially if I'm in a long play session or something like that, and I really feel that building first, shooting second, that mentality will win you way more one-on-one fights. And essentially what Fortnite solo is it's just a series of one-on-one fights. Sometimes you might be a 1-on-2 or like a third-party fight, but a series of one-on-one fights eventually leading up to a final 1v1 to be able to get the victory royale. That's essentially what the game is, and build first, shoot second. Of course, you're not going to be able to execute it every single time, but that's usually a good mentality and a good mindset to have, and that's what I'll say for that. Next one is for you console players out there like myself, switch to Builder Pro. I've eventually gotten all my friends to switch. A lot of people would play on Combat Pro or Standard and didn't want to switch right away, but eventually you sort of have to switch to keep up with the meta, and I really think that Builder Pro is the way to go. Even Nick Merckx, who is probably like one of the best Standard players out there, he has now eventually switched to Builder Pro, or he's trying it out on his live stream, because I really do think that if you notice, a lot more people on console, PS4, Xbox, are building faster and a lot faster than they were like a month ago, and that is a big part to, you know, people are just learning the game. You know, the longer the game's been out, the more popular it gets, but also the aspect that Builder Pro allows you to build and basically do it like how you can on PC with sort of custom keybinds on the controller, and it's very simple. You generally only use 3 builds anyway: the wall, as well as the flat, as well as the ramp. Having Builder Pro is definitely a major key to basically build faster and to simply react, and it just increases building overall. It might take you a few days to get used to, but trust me, it is 100% worth it, because no matter what, in the long run, it is going to be net positive for you, and that's definitely the way that you're going to want to do it. Switch to Builder Pro, give it a try. Next one I have here is don't be scared to hold down a trigger. Now, this is something that I didn't do at all in like my first month or two I was playing Fortnite. I would always try to tap fire, because that's what I saw people doing on YouTube or people doing on live streams and stuff like that. And while tap firing is good in certain situations where the enemy is super far away, if you have a blue AR or a purple or gold scar or even a green AR sometimes, don't be afraid to hold that trigger down. Of course, you're not going to hit all the shots. The bloom is going to get you and you're going to miss shots, but in general, a lot of the time, just holding down that trigger is going to kill the enemies faster than trying to take your time every shot, get perfect accuracy, and tap fire. That's something I would recommend more for super long ranges, but at medium range to close range, hold that trigger down every single time on assault rifles. And you know, if you hold it in the general vicinity of them, sure, it may hit one out of every 5 shots or whatever, but it will kill them pretty fast because the fire rate is pretty nasty on those guns. And that's something that definitely, you know, it comes with experience, knowing when to hold down the trigger versus when to tap fire. But I find that a lot of beginner players or players who don't play as often will, you know, traditionally just go for the tap fire in situations where holding down the trigger can be the better option. So that's the tip I would give with that, is basically experiment with both, but don't be afraid to hold down that trigger when you're at a closer range with them, okay? Next tip I have here is to get materials as soon as you leave your first town or city. Basically, if you run out of materials in this game, building is the main part of this game, right? So building, shooting, and decision making, and those are the big 3 I like to talk about. And if you're out of materials, you're sort of at the mercy of your enemy, hoping that they don't build or that they're not going to outplay you. And usually, I don't like to be I like to choose my own fate, be able to play the way that I want to play. Get materials in the first city that you're in. You probably don't need to have too many materials. I recommend farming the stacks of wood when you're inside cities or inside of houses, just smacking the beds, the cabinets, the dressers. Those can give you like 8 wood per smack. But eventually, when you leave the city, start farming up those big trees. I hate it when I see, you know, when I'm watching my friends play, you know, the ones that are more casual players, and they're walking around with 100 to 200 wood. In my opinion, you should always be walking around with at least 400 to 500 materials. That may sound like a lot, but it really doesn't take that long to farm up to that. And when in the situation where you should never be running out of materials, you're going to notice that the freedom you have to build without worrying about materials, you can double stack ramps with reinforcing them. You're just really not worried about that, and that allows you to play much more free and become just a better builder in general, in my opinion. Get materials as soon as you can and try to stay at around 400 to 500, and going into the late game, you probably want to have around 1,000 into the late game, because that's when forts can go up, forts can get destroyed, and a bunch of crazy stuff can go down. My next tip is to one that I've recently started doing. I didn't really do this tip until maybe a month ago. Look around while falling into an area to see what you're up against. Now, if you're at Tilted Towers, this isn't as important because obviously you know you're up against a army of people. But if you're falling and you're landing at maybe the factories or at Junk Junction or Risky Reels or Tomato Town, somewhere a little bit more on the outskirts, as you're falling in, look around, look where other people, see if you're alone in that area, see if there's any people landing late, see if people are landing right beside you, because that can allow you to understand either, okay, I'm going to get the gun right here and I'm going to rush that guy right away, or he's going to get the gun, I'm going to have to go for some chest and play it defensively. You basically need to clear out your city as soon, or your landing spot as soon as possible, and the best way to simply do that is 100% the best way to do that is based off of looking around as you're falling in, and that's what I 100% recommend doing as far as that tip. It's one that can really help you get more wins and prevent you from dying off the start. Now, the last tip I have for you guys was one that is probably super important. Don't take fights when you're at a disadvantage. In this game, because of the building, because of how you can just maneuver around the map, you can decide, I mean, sometimes they'll pull up on you and you're going to have to take a fight, but usually you can just build up higher. don't take fights where you're at a disadvantage. When you want to take a fight, you want to make sure you're at an advantage. Now, advantages come in different points. An advantage could be an HP advantage, where you crack your enemy first, they're weak, then you decide to push them and take the fight. An advantage could be height advantage. You're up higher than your enemy is. That could be a good advantage as well. There's tons of different advantages you can take in this game, and there's no point in being below an enemy and trying to sort of aim up at them when you can simply create a gap between them, build defensively like I talked about in my defensive building video, and sort of renegotiate the fight, I guess you could say, or reposition yourself for a better opportunity in that fight, and then you obviously have a better chance to win that. So that's the tips I can give you guys. These are 7 tips that if you apply them, they're simple things that can make a world of difference, and these simple adjustments can really make you that much of a better player. Hopefully these will help you out. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, smack a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you guys aren't new. Have a great day or a great night, and I'm out. Peace.